Right, ladies and gentlemen, live from Hyde 49 coming at you with another community shoutcast for the OUSA Dota League Season 1. Just about to enter the draft for Team Horsemen of the Ruckus up against See and Believe. I will be joined by my co-caster Yoshi from Team Blink. He's over in the in-game client, so he'll be the chip in once we've all done loading in. Yoshi, you there, bud?
Hello?
Yep, I can hear you. I saw your mic spazzing out a bit.
Is it better than yesterday or not?
Yeah, it's better than yesterday. It's a bit louder.
My mic is just terrible.
No worries. I've lowered my mic volume, so it shouldn't be as glaring a difference as it was yesterday. So it looks like 4 Horsemen of the Ruckus about to start with the bans. Recently, they've been banning Timbersaw as their first ban. Very strong offlaner, but we'll see if they decide to do that this time. I can hear the echo on. Alright, cool.
10 seconds remaining.
So 4 Horsemen of the Ruckus, led by their carry, their mid player and their captain kin.killa. They've gone for that Clockwork as that first ban. Flash was talking about this earlier. He's one of the heroes that you really want to ban out because he's such a pain in the ass to deal with. He could go in a 1v1 situation and win with that battery assault and cog harass. And a 1v3 situation is really hard to kill because of the fact that he's got the 5-second cogs. Can push heroes back. With that creep equilibrium shift, he's very difficult to kill. In the 1v2 situation, he can leech XP once he hits level 6 with a maxed out battery assault. When he catches a hero out on their own, they're pretty much dead. Ember Spirit is the first ban. Bit surprising to see and believe chosen to ban out that Ember Spirit, considering the fact that kin.killa actually showed yesterday in game number 1 of their series against TYK how the Viper can actually completely destroy that Ember Spirit. But of course, with 4 Horsemen of the Ruckus having a first pick, kin.killa is a renowned player for his Ember Spirit. He really likes that hero for its high mobility and aggression. What would you like to see 4 Horsemen of the Ruckus banning out for the second hero there, Yoshi?
I don't actually know anything about See and Believe.
Yeah, this is the first game I've casted for them as well. Henry was saying that they're actually his next door neighbors, but I don't think he's seen them play. So they're currently the unknown. Looks like we've gone for a Pug in the second ban. Do you reckon Pug is strong enough to warrant a second ban?
That's the first time I've seen Pugna banned that early in the draft, or banned at all for that matter.
Yeah, like, he's a very strong hero, but usually he seems to slip through the first 2 bans. Not too sure why he was warranting that second ban. It could just be a See and Believe hero they like to play. But second ban, we've got that Nature's Prophet. That's a lot more standard. He's a really strong offlane hero. He can use the treants to leash creep aggro back, maintain it just above the tower range, so your creep equilibrium always clashes right in front of the tower. It means it's very difficult to go for a kill attempt on Nature's. Once he has his Sprout up, he could, as well as his global teleportation, he could jump into any ganking situation. And we've got a Slark first pick. I know you guys absolutely hate Slark. What are your thoughts on this first pick, Slark?
That's really annoying. It's quite interesting that they've chosen Slark as the best pick.
Yeah, I think Double D was talking to me earlier about how he wanted to play Slark this game. I kept telling him, you'll be lucky if he gets to the draft, but it looks like he's gone through. So he'll be having a ball of again. I think he'll be Double D playing that Slark instead of kin.killa over in the mid. But I mean, both of them play a pretty good Slark, so they could always switch it up based on how the rest of their draft goes. Do you reckon Slark is better in the tri-lane situation or as solo mid?
He actually works really well as an offlaner as well. Assuming the tri-lane's not too powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, you could always pounce into trees, and unlike a lot of other heroes that rely on hiding in trees, he doesn't, because it's a pounce, he doesn't cut down any trees or anything. So it's actually really hard to scout him out. Unless you have some kind of like flying vision spell or ability to scout him out. We've got the Bristleback first pick, so they've already picked up their offlaner. We'll see if they choose to go for their secondary pickup. Could be going for a mid this early into the draft, but most likely we'll be picking up one of their supports for their tri-lane.
5 seconds remaining.
We could be seeing something like a Crystal Maiden. She works pretty well with the Bristleback, just because once she gets to point up that Arcane Aura, gives him all the money he needs for Bristleback to spam out his Quill Spray. Over in the offlane, Bristleback tends to usually go skip the Nasal Goo, go for 2 points up in the Bristleback passive, as well as maxing out his Quill Spray. Do you reckon that offlane Bristleback should go for that point in the Nasal Goo, or do you reckon it's good for them to get the 2 points up in the passive?
I think the point of the passive is probably more important. The Necrolite pickup here is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a really greedy pickup. Necrophos has really strong flash farming capability, but he does need a lot of farm to pick up. He also needs a lot of EXP, as his Death Pulse is pretty ineffective at low levels while still draining a huge amount of mana, so he really needs to get that level 7. Do you reckon he'll be going for skipping Sadist, or do you think he'll go for a point in the Heartstop and a point in the Sadist?
10 seconds remaining.
I think Sedis is actually really strong and you should mix it as soon as possible.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, personally, I like to skip parts. Like sometimes it depends on the matchup I'm up against.
Reserve
If
time.
I think I could outlast CS them without needing the harassment from Heartstopper, I like to get max Satyrs just because it gives you so much flash farming capability. Once you have a few points up in that Satyrs, you can constantly spam off Death Pulse, use that to push down waves, use that to farm jungle, and if you get a kill, that gives you an obscene amount of regen.
Ban.
Mirana picked up from 4 Horsemen of the Ruckus, pretty standard hero for them. UGTFO plays an absolutely fantastic offlane Mirana. We'll see if he chooses to do that this time. I know Gats also played Mirana in their game yesterday in the offlane, so they can switch it up. And third ban Outlaw Destroyer, pretty standard.
Support Mirana that time.
Oh wow. Yeah, I know UGTFO played a roaming Mirana
Support Mirana.
in their series last time, so they're definitely showing off the versatility of Mirana. I mean, she could roam, she could support, she could go in the offlane, tri-lane as a farmer, or even over in the
10
mid.
seconds. 10 seconds.
She's such a versatile and strong hero that if she's not banned, she's pretty much picked
5
up,
seconds
just because of the sheer amount of utility she brings to the team. Can also scale pretty well into the late game. Biggest drawback with Mirana though is she does need a decent amount of DPS damage before she really starts to take off as a carry. With that third ban on that
Radiant
Nyx,
team ban.
it's a bit interesting considering.
I'm quite interested, like, I'm wondering what position they'll run the Necrophos in. I mean, probably as a carry is probably the way to go because I don't think he's very strong as a mid laner.
Yeah, Necrophos isn't too great over in the mid lane. I mean, back in Dota 1, he used to occasionally be used then, but even then, he's got pretty low base damage, and he doesn't really fare well against a lot of other mid matchups. We might see him in a tri-lane, but he's too EXP dependent, so I'm not too sure how effective he'll be. They could even be running a 2-1-2, but I'm not too sure how much I like that. I've got the Bristleback. And we've got that Ancient Apparition banned out. I guess people are starting to listen to the cast and say that, hey, if you don't pick up AA, you want to ban him because he's the second king of the tri-lane, first being Visage, of course. What would you like to see from See and Believe now that they've got that Necrolite pickup?
I guess maybe a hero at mid that can do some damage, like some right-click damage in the late game, something like Imbus Spirit's Ben, but
10
maybe
seconds
something like a
remaining.
Shadow Fiend, you know, something that can transition to character, especially if they're using the Nicolite as
seconds
a one
remaining.
position, the Nicolite, like, they need something that can hit hard in the late game.
Yeah, definitely. I guess with the Necrophos pickup, we could potentially see someone like an Abaddon or a Dazzle as one of the supports in their tri-lane, as they offer a huge amount of defensive power, especially on top of Necrolite and that Death Pulse. If he gets the ball rolling, if he picks up an early mech, gets that maxed out status and Death Pulse, you can Death Ball push, huge amount of sustain coming out from him. And it looks like we've got that first primary support hero, that Lion. Great pickup in the tri-lane. You've got the Earth Spike, 700 range stun, as well as the Hex, which is 2.5 seconds at level 1. Provides a lot of lockdown. We see that the Horsemen of the Ruckus have actually chosen the 4th ban Dirge. Do you think that was really justifiable?
I'm kind of wondering about that myself. They banned Pugna in the first phase, they banned Undying in the second phase. I'm wondering, like, maybe See and Believe just really like pushing strategies, and maybe the Nicolette pick was kind of oriented towards that, but
Yeah, because Undying
really don't,
does work really well with the Necrophos, just with that decay. They both have that kind of sustainability with the Soul Rip as well as the decay. So it could be an interesting pocket strat, but all in all, Undying has fallen off a lot, just because after the 20-minute mark, he does drop incredibly quickly once people can just right-click down the Tombstone. I mean, the bans coming up from See and Believe, they're much more standard. You've got the Ember Spirit, the Nature's Prophet, Nyx, and the Ancient Apparition. They're all pretty strong heroes. Nyx has fallen off a little bit, but he's still banned out just because of how annoying he is. And we've got that Lich as that third pickup. I think it'll most likely be Gats playing that Lich. He's been playing a pretty good Lich so far. And we've got a Viper as most likely the mid hero. Do you reckon Viper fits that kind of mid right-click into DPS role that you were talking about earlier?
I think they're just going for really tanky core, and I think that's their goal here, because that way the Slark can't really kill them too fast, and they have time to retaliate like once Slark's ultimate has worn off.
Yeah, and it definitely kind of punishes 4 Horsemen of the Ruckus. They like to go for those early dives. They go for that hyper-aggressive kind of gameplay. If you pick up a really tanky core of heroes, and if you have heroes like Necrophos who keep healing everyone, I guess it's war by attrition. You weather the initial initiation, and then you fight back, using that sustainability coming out from that mech, from that Death Pulse, and start to beat them down. Because, I mean, Bristleback is already hard enough to kill as it is. Throw out the Necrolite heals, and he's pretty much unstoppable, unless he gets a really bad start. We haven't warranted that out. In the 1v1 matchup with Bristleback up against the Mirana, who would you really favour?
I think Bristleback definitely wins that matchup if it ends up being that way. I think Horseman. Okay.
Huh.
I was gonna say
Silencer.
that Horseman really needs some more solid lockdown against the Viper and Bristleback.
Yeah, because so far the only stun they have is Mirana's arrows. They've got the immobilize from Slark's pounce. They have the snare coming out from Lich's frostbite. But Silencer, very greedy support hero. He doesn't actually offer all too much beyond damage in that silence. So he
5 seconds remaining.
I think they're gonna run Silencer as a carry because I've seen Dumblebee play that before.
Reserve time.
that would be really interesting then, because it does open up their draft a bit more. You have Slark going mid, Mirana in the off lane, try lane with Lich, Silencer, and maybe someone with a stun. I would like to see like a Vengeful Spirit, give them that lockdown, give them that isolation power to pick a hero off before Necrophos can heal them out. If they catch out Necrolite out in the zone, they can burst him down. Abandons the 5th ban, very wise ban, fearing that sustainability coming out from See and Believe. If they picked up Necrolite with that aphotic shield, Necrophos would be too much to deal with. I mean, it's a pretty puppy strat, but Bristleback and Abandon, very difficult lane to go up against. Not too sure how effective it'd be up against a tri-lane, but it's definitely a pretty brutal combination. What would you like to see as the 5th pickup from See and Believe?
See and Believe have got a really outrageous draft, so I actually don't know, but I really feel Horsemen need to pick up some solid sale. Maybe something like a Shadow Shout. You need really solid lockdown for Viper and Bristleback. Yeah, that's definitely true. I don't know why, but I get the feeling maybe a Dazzle wouldn't be too shabby, just because they've got the lockdown coming up from the Lion. They've got the CC, the snares coming up from Bristleback as well as the Viper. Having that Shallow Grave as well as Weave. But never mind, Sven, so it looks like a... Is that a support Necrophos? It's either support Sven or support Necrolite. I really feel that Necrolite doesn't work as a support, so I think he's support Sven. The other way.
Yeah, with that base armor buff, he's not terrible as a support hero. I mean, you can go for those early roam attempts, early roam games with Lion and Sven. Myth Trustback and TI1, TI2 used to do that combo all the time. Have Sven with another ranged hero with a stun. I mean, Stormbolt is one of the best stuns in the game.
5 seconds remaining.
Lot of damage, AoE, 2 second stun, and Centaur Warrunner. So there you go, that's that lockdown you're talking about. You've got that Who Stomp, as well as the damage coming out from that double edge. Looks like Jamie will be playing that Centaur Warrunner. He wasn't all too effective in a try-v-try situation with that Centaur the last time they used it, but this time we'll see what happens. I mean, they've only got the snare coming out from the Lich to help set up that stomp. But Dumblebee over in Silencer, he's got a pretty diverse range of carry heroes he could play. He always likes to go for those unconventional kind of heroes, so we'll see how it works out. Just going to introduce the players over on the 4 Horsemen of the Ruckus, their captain and mid player, kin.killa, over on his favorite hero, Slark. UGTFO, on the signature hero, the Mirana, he has been absolutely phenomenal with that Mirana in the last few games I casted. Gats over on that Lich, pretty standard for him, he's been playing a lot of Lich lately. And Jamie over on the Centaur Warrunner. Over on the side of the Dire, we have Tedlock over on Sven, Jimmy Whispers as that Bristleback, Dream over on the Viper, Stranger Danger on that Necrophos, and Razimki over on Lion. What are your thoughts on who would win in the try-v-try situation?
Overall, I really think SNB's draft is probably, like, in this matchup, I think SNB has the advantage with this kind of draft.
Mm-hmm. It all really boils down to execution, huh?
It really, yeah, I think probably Horsemen are probably gonna just rely on their superior individual skill to just kind of win it out.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We've got an early group up as well as a ward placement. They're hanging around. 2 wards placed, yeah. Pretty interesting. So it looks like Slark solo... Is that UGTFO in the mid lane? What are his items?
No, I think Dumblebee will be the mid solo here.
Yeah, so we've got that tri-lane with that Mirana. Yeah, well, this is pretty standard. We've seen that Lich, Centaur, Mirana tri-lane in the past. And Silencer up against that Viper. It's interesting who would actually get the advantage. Actually, every time Silencer uses Last Word...
I don't think Silencer will have a very good time in that matchup.
But Viper doesn't have a spell to dispel Last Word, so he's forced to eat that disarm every single time he throws that out. So, in that sense... Yeah, and Double D's a pretty good laning player. He knows how to CS very well as well as harass the enemy hero out. We've got... Looks like UGTFO is going to be playing that roaming role. Yep. Arrow flies out. Rare miss from UGTFO. He's usually been so on point. Throws out that last word. UGTFO backs on out. And yeah, there you go. That's that power of that last word. Viper has no spells to dispel that, so he's forced to eat that disarm. Once Dumbledore picks up level 2, he'll be the...
Levels Curse of the Silence, he could actually do very well in this lane.
Yeah, would you actually prefer Curse of the Silence over... I guess since just because Viper doesn't have any spells to dispel it, that would be superior over the Glaive. You see some great play from Dumbledore.
Yeah,
Tanking the creep wave to make sure that the tower doesn't immediately start heading on the creep wave. They do now that they've pushed up, but gives them a bit of time to control the creep equilibrium. Over in the bottom lane, we see a bit of action happening. Centaur Warrunner's moving up. He's trying to bully up that Bristleback. And wow, looks like a
support Centaur, is it?
yeah, 2-1-2 coming up from Horseman of the Ruckus. Who would have thought it? I was thinking that SNB most likely would be going for that tri-lane. But nonetheless, it actually looks like a support Necrophos. He's pulling up to go for that pull, but that camp has already been... Oh, never mind, I've dewarded that. I really don't like it. Necrophos is a very greedy support hero. He's gone for that level 1 in Heartstopper Aura. That is somewhat understandable. His level 1 Death Bolt doesn't give you all too much. But as a support hero, he's pretty lacking. We'll see how the mid lane goes. I mean, in terms of CS, we've already got kin.killa leading the way at 8 for 4. Silence of 1 in all of his abilities. Yeah, it looks like you're right. He's going to be going for that curse build with the last word. Use that to really drive the Viper out of lane.
The Viper's going for an interesting build as well. He hasn't level corrosive skin.
Yeah, I've been noticing that recently. A lot of Viper players that we've casted so far, they don't seem to like going for corrosive skin for whatever reason. I mean, there was that game with TYKR up against Horseman of the Ruckus where they actually chose to max corrosive skin and disregard Nether Toxin. So it seems they don't seem to like one of the abilities that Viper has for whatever reason. No one ever seems to go for that 1-1-1 build. Oh, there we go. He's picked up a 4th point up in it now. But choosing to get that 2nd point of Nether Toxin, I like this. It gives him a lot of last hitting power with that extra damage it gives to creeps, even though it only is half. And it also provides that extra damage against Dumbledore if he decides to trade. Viper's very hard to bully out of lane just for that very reason. We'll see if Dumbledore starts throwing out the Curse of the Silent just to harass out that Viper with that dot as well as mana burn. Poison attack does cost 20 mana per cast, so if you don't have mana, can be a pretty big deal. We see the amount of damage coming already, my god. Few pings coming out in the top lane.
I think this actually... Unless this Viper picks up a bottle, I think he will have a very difficult time in this lane.
Yeah, definitely. We see he's already been ferried to Salve, and there you go, that's that disarm coming out once again. That must be so frustrating, especially with that Curse of Silence just coming out. He's going to be completely out of mana. He went Ring of Aquila first. I would have liked to see something like Boots. We've got 3-man rotation coming out. Frost Blast flies out, arrow from UGTFO misses, but Rafiki follows up with a stun and beats him down. With that double edge, Centaur Warrunner gets that first blood. And it looks like Horseman of the Ruckus is going quad lane. They're saying, you know what, Toph isn't that much fun. Let's get rowdy in the mid. Gats is hanging around, sacrifice one of the creeps. And Dumbledore, he's already getting some of that intelligence steal coming off. That's now an innate part of the hero, so he no longer needs to point up in glaives. He's choosing to max out Curse of the Silence. Do you reckon that's superior over maxing Last Word in this case? I mean, it does help him control the lane.
It's really strong just because his lane opponent is Viper.
Right, but what about once he starts to transition into the mid-game and starts going for ganks? Do you think he'll just rely on getting enough EXP to max out Last Word afterwards?
I'm not sure if he'll... I'm actually not sure. He could just go for the Blaze just for the right-click damage.
Because, I mean, it's usually over in the mid lane, you see Silencers either choosing to max out the Glaives or max out the Last Word, because a 300 damage, long-range spell. It looks like a bit of action happening in the top lane.
Engagement up here.
Necrophos is hanging around. There isn't all too much he could do. UGTFO goes in with a few right clicks, throws out that arrow. He's missed another one. That's 3 arrows he's missed in a row now. That's very rare. Coming up from UGTFO. Sven throws out the Warcry. He gets out of there. Spike drives back to the Centaur Warrunner. And Horseman of the Ruckus forced to back off. In terms of their tri-lane, they're not actually getting all too much farm. I mean, Mirana only has 5 CS. She did waste a lot of time in the middle lane trying to get that arrow off. Slark is off to a good start. Do you think it's worth it to sack the tri-lane in exchange for the mid and the off-lane doing well?
The Bristleback, I don't know why the Bristleback quits. Like, he only has 3 CS now.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It looks like he's just getting outskilled by kin.killa. I mean, you do have to...
Scared of the Slark.
Yeah, I'm not too sure why he's so afraid of Slark. Slark has pretty low HP in comparison to the Bristleback. Doesn't have nearly as much survivability. He's forced to pounce out. But beyond that, there isn't all too much he could do. He does have that magic stick though, so kin.killa, respecting the power of that Bristleback, going for those early magic one to make sure that if Bristleback does go on him, he always has those charges to rely upon. Viper eating another Curse of the Silence to the face, immediately cripples his mana pool, means that he can't go for that gank attempt with that ult, as he doesn't even have mana to cast it.
This Necrolyzer support isn't working at all. He just, you know, because he doesn't have a stun or so, he doesn't contribute anything to the Twilight, so...
Yeah, and...
It's really, like, not a good pick.
Death Pulse on top of that is a very mediocre spell. It has to be level 4 or nothing. I mean, it doesn't really offer all too much, since not only does it have a low range and low damage and heal, you have to be pretty close to them, and it tears through your mana pool. He's only got enough for 2 Death Pulses. Top lane... Wow, was that an arrow from UGTFO landing on line?
Yeah, I think the arrow landed and then the Centaur...
Went in for the stomp and the double edge. Yeah. Yikes, that's that power. Looks like Centaur Warrunner in this case has gone for 1 point in return. We see usually in the past that whenever Centaur Warrunner is picked up, he goes for that max out hoof stomp as well as the double edge.
Look over here.
Bottom lane we see some action happening. Yes, looks like Slark's going to get a kill. Bit of hesitation, but he should be fine with that 5.5 second Shadow Dance. kin.killa really outscaling and outplaying that Bristleback. Picked up an early Orb of Venom.
Just because once Slark hits level 6, he's really impossible to outlane because, you know, any damage you trade with him, he will just heal back up straight away just by walking into the fog for a few seconds.
Yeah, and with that point up in pounce, especially as a melee hero, every time you go for a CS, you're leaving yourself wide open for a pounce. Gives him that time to beat down on you, especially since he has that Orb of Venom. That 12% snare, gives him 1 or 2 extra right clicks. Most likely we'll be going for that early Shadow Blade. Great pickup on Slark, especially as it gives him another way to initiate without having to waste his ult. Means that he can save his ult, especially with the fact that it now has a increased cooldown. So instead of 25 seconds like it was in the past, it's now 60 seconds. Not quite a huge ult cooldown, but definitely something you want to hold on to and use only when you absolutely have to. He's hexed out, called out by the Lion, but with that Shadow Dance he should be fine. He's actually turning around on Lion. Lion copying a lot of damage. kin.killa backing away, recognizing he doesn't do enough damage to be able to finish him off. Eats that nasal goo to the face. But with his magic wand flying and with those charges coming off cooldown, he should be able to pounce out. Bristleback is feeding him a few more charges. And yeah, all he has to do is duck out of sight. Get that passive HP regen coming out. Viper looks like he's doing a rotation for top. Never mind, recognizes no rune. Double damage over in the bottom lane. Dumbledee's going to pick that up. He's off to a fantastic start. What would you like to see as that first item on the silencer?
Probably a 4-star for a mech, but actually the Viper's actually caught up in CS to the silencer. That's quite surprising. Yeah,
I'm actually surprised how much CS that Viper's gotten for free. I'm kind of surprised Dumbledee hasn't killed him already. I mean, all he has to do is follow up with that Curse of Silence, use that last word to do enough damage to finish him off. Just got a message from Bambi saying that he won game 1 against Felthy and friends. Good for him. He was complaining to me earlier that they actually banned out all of his favorite heroes, so I was a little bit annoyed. But nonetheless, looks like a good game coming up from them. And Viper's gone for the phase boots. This is pretty standard for boot pickup on Viper. I mean, both treads as well as the phase work, and another arrow miss from UGTFO. He's not been having a great game. It's very rare for him to miss so many arrows. I mean, in the 60-minute game we casted last time, he missed about maybe 5-6 arrows in that entire game. So this time something's not quite up with him. kin.killa trying to get a bit of damage up against that Bristleback. With that Shadow Dance, he should be fine. Gat's hanging around. This tri-lane really hasn't accomplished all too much in terms of CS. They have achieved a few kills. But that Sven, actually never mind, Sven has been shot down pretty bad. He's only got 21 CS. Looks like the Horsemen of the Ruckers are just relying on the individual skill to just get them some farm.
Yeah, it's winning the laning phase through sheer skill.
Viper looks like he's trying to engage over on Dumbledee. Never mind, not quite able to make it. kin.killa taking a little bit more damage from that cool spray harass, but Bristleback's now out of mana. Personally, do you prefer...
Neither of them have boots.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised the Horsemen of the Ruckers haven't really punched them out for that. Yeah, both the Lion's actually just got enough mana for boots right now. UGTFO hanging around the side. He wants to get an arrow off, but he's caught and pinged out by the Sven.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's definitely a great safety ward being placed there. They could even go for a dive there. Centaur Warrunner placed the ward. I think that might have been spotted out. And we've got 4 heroes over in the top lane now. Viper's also rotating. Personally, although he doesn't have enough mana for his ult, so he's He's got a cell popping on him, but without mana for his ult, with only 1 point up on that poison attack, isn't all too much he can do. He can provide a lot of damage though. Arrow flies out, hits Necrophos right in the face. He's going to eat a stomp as well as a double edge. Going to go down with that Starstorm. Great play coming out. UGTFO trading hits over that Viper. Viper turning around. Decides he can't fight. His Chain Frost is actually thrown out. That's not going to bounce, but that snare could be enough. In the back line, we have Sven coming in. Global Silence is thrown out. Gats is chasing. He wants blood. He wants to get that Frostbite off. He doesn't have enough mana. Looks like he's going to right-click him down. Maybe? No, he's just one right-click shy. Dumbledee's running in. He's up for blood as well. Wants to get that Curse of the Silence off. Don't think he'll be able to make it in time.
It has no arms to defend itself.
And Centaur Warrunner calling out for a Zeus Salt. Poor Gats. 3 HP off. Just barely TPs away out of that. Centaur Warrunner is called out. Eats a Stormbolt to the face. Covering fire. Coming up from that arrow. Hoof Stomp as well. Slark able to kill Bristleback in the back end. What happened there?
Being attacked.
Bit more action. UGTFO called out. Sven doesn't have enough for a Stormbolt. Centaur Warrunner.
He actually nearly died to the Heartstopper aura.
Oh wow, almost dies to the Heartstopper. UGTFO called out. He eats the. Never mind, he disjoints the Viper Strike using that 0.1 second windwalk from the leap. Fantastic reflexes coming out from UGTFO. He makes his way on out of there.
That's not good for the Radiant.
And wow, only one hero died in that top engagement. My god.
Dire's bottom tower doesn't even have arms to defend itself.
There was actually like
What
a
brave
really
tower.
big miscommunication between the Lich and the Mirana. The Mirana like left forward or even just like walked forward when gets through his chain cross forward. I think they would have got the Viper without a problem.
Yeah, definitely. Dumbledee, he's just picked up his first item. It's flying up to him on the courier right now. Looks like, yeah, it's going to be that 4-star. Oh, never know, it's a Yule Scepter. Great pickup on Silencer. Silencer's biggest weakness in terms of DPS is the fact that he's very slow. Over in the bot lane, bit of action flying out. Finger of Death. kin.killa pop Shadow Dance. He's going to be fine. Eats a cool spray to the face. Wisely backs out. Error. Flies out. Clips Bristleback right in the face. Double edge from the front. Centaur Warrunner brings him down. Mana drain from line. Not accomplishing all too much. UGTFO trading a few more right clicks, and there we go. Great play coming up from Horseman of the Ruckus. That covering fire arrow coming up from UGTFO. He knows that when their attention is diverted elsewhere, he can nail them right in the face. And Centaur Warrunner showing good awareness of Bristleback's passive run, moves up to the front to land that double edge, just so in case he had to, it's not mitigated and he doesn't have to eat that extra quill spray from that. Just going to do a quick golden EXP check. In terms of EXP, over 5,000 EXP lead in favor of the Radiant side, and over 5,000 gold.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
That was really unfortunate for the Dire side. They even blew the Lion Finger on this, and that thing has a really long cooldown. You really want to get a kill every time you use that. They put it on the Slark, and then the Slark just managed to get out, so it's really unfortunate.
It's 160 seconds, so you really want to get a kill, and it would have, but they just slightly miscalculated. Arrow just barely misses. UGTFO, he's having a bit of an off day. Very rare to see him miss arrows. And Viper calling him out, a little bit of smack talk. Was he going to go for that tower deny? No, he gets juked out by Tommy. Cancels his attack. He's running a bit too far forward. Throws out the Yules. Lion didn't go for that impale there. He was in range. Just wasn't confident enough to throw out that 700 range blind impale. And they just get a tower kill for nothing.
This Necrolite is doing absolutely nothing for this team, I feel.
Yeah, he's also choosing to max out that Heartstopper aura, so I mean, if he chose to get a few points on that Sadist, he can at least attempt to flash farm during the mid-game with nothing. Oh, arrow in the face over the Bristleback. kin.killa pounces him from behind, turns up to the front, hits him in the face. Stampede thrown out as well as Chain Frost, bounces twice, gets killed off by the double edge from Centaur Warrunner. That's that huge amount of burst damage coming out. Viper can't stand against that much damage. And 2 more kills for nothing. Horseman of the Ruckus, and meanwhile the top lane. Solo kill from Dumbledee over on the Sven. That Yule Scepter as well as that Haste Rune doing so much work. He's stealing 4 intelligence right now, hoping to get a little bit more.
This is really difficult for the Dire to come back now. I would say it's almost impossible because once the Slark has momentum, then he's got a Shadow Blade and the supports are 2 core to buy sentries.
Yeah, and if he catches the support out, they go down almost instantly. The 150 damage proc from the Shadow Blade, Pounce, and Dark Pact, they go down before they can even move. Looks like we've got some rotations coming down. 4 heroes, 5 heroes moving to the bottom lane. They want to defend this. It's just kin.killa and Gats. kin.killa pops his Dark Pact a little bit too early. Maybe it was a bit of a panic Dark Pact in case Sven decides to throw out that Stormbolt.
Dire's top tower
One of
is
the
under
disadvantages of that Stormbolt is it does have a pretty slow travel time. So kin.killa, assuming he's able to see the Stormbolt being thrown out, can always press Q. He even types out, just poo my pants a little. He's aware that they are all there. We've got Centaur Warrunner rotating over to the bottom lane. Does he have his Tranquil Boots? I feel like his HP is way too low. Yeah, he does, but he's been taking a bit too much creep damage. They've got Stampede up in a few seconds. They've got that Moonlight Shadow. Chain Frost will be up shortly. Never mind, about 50 seconds to go. So UGTFO doing a bit of split pushing in the top lane. Yeah, definitely.
But they're wasting a lot of time here. They're not even getting the tower. They're not getting any kills. Like,
they're just sitting around jerking each other off. They're just getting a bit of EXP, but that's about it. They're not even getting any gold. Jimmy Whispers goes in, throws out Nasal Goo, but Slark is the worst target you want to go on. He could always purge that off. Viper's hanging around in the jungle. Stranger Danger on that Necrophos hasn't really accomplished all too much, but he's sticking around. Actually, might go in for it. No, it almost reveals himself. They know he's around because of that. Throws out that Stampede, throws out that Moonlight Shadow. kin.killa goes in on the Sven, focuses on firing it immediately, pops that Dark Pack, pops that Pounce, uses Shadow Blade to back out. Lich is able to kill off Viper in the back end. Bristleback is cycloned out. He's made irrelevant, eating that pure damage from those glaives. Tommy's out for blood. Stormbolt hits 2. Lion's Finger flies out, kills Centaur Warrunner. They're saying, we're sick of your shit, you're going down. But 2 for 1. And Mirana's still in the top lane. That was only a 4v5. That wasn't even with them running there. If UGTFO was there to throw out an arrow, get that Star Storm, could have easily been 3 or 4. And looks like that bottom tower, they can't defend this. Yeah, Sven's backing out to try to deal with that Mirana.
Dire's top tower is doing its best.
Looks like a bottom tier 1 tower might be traded if they don't move to defend. Not all too much they can do. UGTFO choosing not to max out arrow. He's gone 3 points over in Starstorm and 3 points up in arrow this time. Would have liked to see him maxing out that Starstorm before getting those extra points in the arrow, considering he's missed a fair few this game. But nonetheless, not too bad. Bit of smack talk flying up from both sides.
Illusion.
Jamie over in that Centaur Warrunner, known for his BM, known for his trolling. He likes to throw out the smack talk. What would you like to see Slark picking up as his next item there, Yoshi?
probably just like something like an IL Skadi really. Like if he buys an IL Skadi now, but like I don't think they will ever kill him.
Straight into Ayascadi, not even building a BKB first.
No, even like without BKB, they are too far behind to kill a Slark, I feel.
My god. It's really that bad, huh? Looks like UGTFO doing a bit of scanning out.
The gold graph is like...
Double damage.
The gold graph is like 12,000 gold difference, and at 18 minutes in the game, that's almost an irrecoverable lead, so...
That is definitely true. They haven't gotten any of the towers. They have lost a lot of towers and a lot of kills for nothing. They've only just recently gotten one kill on that Centaur Warrunner with that Finger of Death. And Centaur Warrunner, he's more than happy to take that. He's their 5 position hero. He doesn't really care if he eats that to the face.
Dire's middle tower
Looks like we're grouping over in the mid lane. Sven, hanging out, farming the top. We've only got 3 heroes over mid. So they should choose to wisely back on out. Curse of the Sun doing so much damage to that Necrophos. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. As if he does throw out that Death Pulse, he's losing a lot of mana anyway. Necrophos pick, really too greedy. Wasn't able to make him work in that tri-lane. Sven hasn't really gotten enough farm to justify it, even though the tri-lane wasn't too aggressive against him. And Bristleback losing solo to kin.killa, that really was the nail in the coffin. We see Sven's going for that armlet. Good pickup on Sven, very cost-effective DPS item. I think Gats should have his...
It's not
good for the
I don't think the armlet is a good choice here because because he's so far behind, you know, he needs a BKB.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good item if you're ahead or if you're breaking even. Nasal Goo throws out on kin.killa. He's able to purge that off. He's got that pounce. He should be fine. There we go. He pounces, drinks into the Ancients, gets that Shadow Dance regeneration. He knows that something's up because he's not getting it from the ward placed over in the rune. Arrow flies out, hits. Oh, never mind. Just barely misses the lion. It actually fades right before it hits him. Would have been 490 magic damage he took to the face. UGTFO not having the best luck this game. Over in terms of items, Lion has picked up Tranquil Boots, and he's picked up Dust, so he's aware of the danger coming out from that Moonlight Shadow, but preferably you want Sentry Wards. Just as Dust is reactive, Sentry Wards gives you, as preventive, it gives you that vision before they could jump on you. Arcane Boots up on Necrophos. Not really a huge fan of Arcane Boots over in Necrophos. He's only actually got 2 points up in that Death Pulse. That is an absolute travesty. You need to max that out as soon as possible. That point in status, that extra point in Heartstopper Aura, not going to do a damn thing, especially if you have Arcane Boots to provide you sustainability. He does have his...
At this point, it doesn't particularly matter which skill build he goes, like, the pick itself, it just hasn't worked out. I think he just doesn't function as a support hero.
Yeah, he needs way too much farm in EXP. Looks like Viper might get called out. SNB Dream. He eats a pounce to the face. He throws out the Viper Strike even though kin.killa held back his Dark Pack. Stampede, Curse of the Silent. Tommy gets the last kill with that glaive. Double edge, finishes off Necrophos. Caught up by the pounce, goes down to that glaive once again. Dumbledy on fire with that double kill, both with glaives. Lion saying, I don't want a part of this. Bristleback, he's called out of position. Looks like he's going to take a pull. Eats a Frost Blast to the face. Dumbledy's going to get that right click and Cyclones him up, saying, this kill's mine. And kills him with that last word. Triple kill coming up from Dumbledy. He has been playing a phenomenal silencer this game. Really been controlling his lane.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Oh, that's got to hurt.
And wow, we see that even the 5 position Centaur Warrunner and the 4 position Lich, they have more net worth than the Sven, as well as the Viper over on the Dire side.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah, I think this game is basically over. I wouldn't be surprised if they called GG. Like, even if they called GG right now, it wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at this point, you want to just call GG, go next, save yourself the psychological beatdown from continuously getting hammered by Horseman of the Ruckus, and brace yourself for the next game. I feel like the Sven pick could have accomplished a lot more in that tri-lane if they just had another tri-lane support hero instead of that Necrophos. If they had someone like a Venomancer, Crystal Maiden, a Vengeful Spirit, anybody but that Necrophos, they could have achieved a lot of kills. I know the Horsemen of the Ruckus, they lost a lot of momentum in that tri-lane until they got that first kill, just because they were wasting a lot of time rotating around. So it felt like...
I just noticed the cosmetic set on the Necrophos. Perhaps they picked it just because he owns a cosmetic set.
kin.killa doing a bit of scouting with that Shadow. He's going to catch out line. Gets that first set pounce. Misses with the pounce. Has that Dark Pack. There's a Dark Packs through the Earth Spike. Arrow flies out. Misses but splits the line as well as Necrophos. Stampede's thrown out. Global Silence. They're killing a lot for this fight. They back off from the line. Looks like Viper's going to be caught out of position. He's getting body blocked a bit by that Bristleback. Hang on. What's Sven doing in the background?
Bottom tower is under attack.
They see him. They're out for blood. They're going to chase him down. But kin.killa doesn't have enough mana to use all of his spells. Centaur Warrunner isn't able to get a stomp off. This is actually a win for the Dire side. They wasted a lot of ultimates for that fight. kin.killa's actually out of mana, so he's forced to go back to base. There's nothing he can accomplish. And it looks like Centaur Warrunner's caught out of position. It's the Stormbolt, it's the Viper Strike, it's the Earth Spike, it's the Hex. And he's going to go down to that Death Pulse as well as the right-click damage coming out from the Viper. A lot of spells expended on the Dire side just to kill that Centaur Warrunner. Looks like Jamie's going to get reported for feeding. He's the only one dying on the Radiant side. I'll be sure to point that out to him after the game. Dumbledy caught way out of position, eats an Earth Spike as well as the finger, and Necrophos gets the kill with his ult. My god. Radiant decides to throw away their lead a little bit, but when you're this far ahead, I guess that might be too big to fail. We see the gold graph dipping a bit just from the Shaman's free gold being dropped, but over 15k gold lead and over 15k experience lead. Horsemen of the Ruckus is still in a demanding position on the map. They've yet to lose a single tier 1 tower.
Invisibility.
kin.killa is making Scotty, like I said, he's actually just about to finish it now.
Yeah, kin.killa really doesn't like picking up BKB, huh?
He doesn't need it this game actually, but yeah, I mean, the Scotty's a really strong pickup when you're this far ahead because they simply cannot kill him. Like, with this much stats, like with the added HP, he has nearly 2000 HP. There's no way SNB can actually bring him down. Maybe with like...
To get a perfect CC rotation.
And then throw Lion's Finger and Necrophos ult at the same time.
Yeah.
He will die.
But even then, if you've wasted that many spells killing that Slark, the rest of Horsemen of Ruckus are going to roll you. It looks like he's going to die at the tier 2 tower. Gets that Pounce Dark Pack combination, immediately kills him before he can react. Throws out that Shadow Dance, looks like he's going in. Centaur Warrunner says, I got your back. Goes over that Stomp, goes over that Double Edge, finishes him off, catches up, Bristleback with that Pounce. He's taking a lot of... He turns around to fight him. For whatever reason, he eats that Dark Pack damage. He goes down to Centaur Warrunner, who gets that kill with that Double Edge, saying, I'm helping, I'm helping. That's a free tattoo for Horsemen of the Ruckus.
Dire's middle tower is all alone in the world.
Horsemen of the Ruckus is almost like a cat playing with their food right now. They know they're too far ahead to fail. Messing around, getting a few kills. Aghanim Scepter picked up by the Silencer. I don't think I've ever actually seen this picked up all too much before. What are your thoughts on the Aghanim Scepter?
By the gods, the Dire's bottom tower doesn't even have arms to defend itself.
Because they're so far in, I don't think you would actually go this game in this, go this item build in a serious game.
Dire's bottom tower was never my
But I mean, on that note, it does provide a 420 damage spell to every single hero on the Dire's side, as well as a 210 mana bone. So it's not a terrible pickup by all means. It's just, I guess, Silencer has a lot more items to work with.
It's not a terrible item. But, you know, compared to something like a Sheepstick...
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, Sheepstick only costs about 1,300 more than that Aghanim Scepter, provides you 3.5 second hex, as well as a bit more damage. Definitely a superior pickup. But, I mean, it definitely does have its uses. If he throws out his ult, that brings Lion down to about half HP. That one maybe 1 or 2 right clicks, and he's already goes down before anything happens. Centaur Warrunner, he's picked up his blink, showing that off in that last fight. Looks like he's going to pick up that Pipe of Insight. He's already got the Hood of Defiance. Good pickup on Centaur Warrunner as it mitigates the self-damage he takes from Double Edge. Not a huge concern for him since he's so tanky, but it's always nice to mitigate damage when you can. Surprised Horsemen of the Ruckus haven't gone for a Roshan attempt yet. I mean, they know the Dire side can't really stop them.
They don't really have the correct heroes to take Roshan though. Like, not enough right-click damage and no armor reduction, so...
I suppose, but they could always rotate out kin.killa from tanking Roshan just because of that Shadow Dance regeneration.
Yeah, they might take it with this double damage.
And Jamie wanted me to tell out what Silencer CS is. Sitting at 168 for 20. It's okay, it's not amazing. But given that it's all from last hitting, since Silencer doesn't have any farming abilities, not the best thing in the world. The fact that he has 20 denies, however, is pretty impressive. And yeah, with that Lich Frost Armor as well as the pure damage coming up from the Glaives, they're going to take an easy Roshan kill. GG, 27 minutes and 45 seconds in. See and believe, give up game 1 to a dominating performance from Horsemen of the Ruckus. We're just going to take a short break and move on to game number 2. Any final thoughts there, Yoshi?
I think Horsemen basically showing that they're probably a bit more individually skilled than the other team.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Alrighty, we're just going to take a quick break. We'll jump into game number 2. Stay tuned, 49 signing out.